We learned in class today.
Well, I love it when Ryushin is here because he just leaves good vibes all over the place, man. And I'm telling you, living my life as an offering. I'm for that, and I'm offering myself up as a bad example. That's it. There it is. It's for all to see.
Yeah, no man is perfectly useless.
And I think if there is some almighty vibe up there that asks you questions, the question I'm going to be asked when I'm gone from here will be, did you have fun, Patrick? And the answer will be yes. Now let me go back to the beginning because Joe was in a lather about a whole lot of bad stuff happening, and as well he should be, man.
Lather.
Penn State, the linebacker U, that's what it's called, linebacker U, baby. They make them tough boys there. But however, all you got to do with this dude is throw him in with the general population, put him in a real penitentiary. I mean, you don't put him in a country club and let him, watch Yogi Bear and stuff. Put him in a real penitentiary, put him with the general population. He might last a month. I really doubt it, but then there you go. That's justice. And I also got kicked out of second grade, Joe. I was kicked out. I wasn't into the F word at that time. I hadn't been educated, but I was into the SOBB. And I called a nun that, and they sent me to boarding school because the nuns couldn't hit hard enough to get my attention. I had 5 years with my old man. And those nuns were nothing. So they sent me to boarding school, and you settled up every Friday with a strap on a hand, and I could handle that. You toughen up your hands by rubbing them against the brick walls, and that becomes another meaningless punishment, just like most of them are. Clemens is innocent officially according to the book, but who cares? I don't care what they do.
Yeah.
To me, he's a bully because he was a DH'er. I don't mind a guy like Drysdale throwing close to your head or Sal Maglia and all, because then they got to stand in the box and they can get thrown at in return. But in that chicken punk league that he was in, where they got a designated hitter come up there, naturally he goes close to you and says, look at me go. Forget him. Sam knocked me out. Sam is on the money, man. I got to tell you about that. He's on the money with everything he says because that was a nothing story, and I did agree on that. And I also agree it'll be great if the Supreme Court crushes the Obamacare thing, because the votes will just come sliding Obama's way from the old folks, from a lot of people that are getting hustled by the companies. And I met Sylvia downstairs. Wow, is she something?
Isn't she great?
I'm so glad because I heard her on the radio. I love when I hear the musical people in my car radio because it's like driving in the stereo, playing on the Black Keys and doing that, and she's just a real soul. She understands what it's all about, and I like that. Fast and Furious, that was just a goofy trip. Ice is just a dork. He's on an ego trip. He's got nothing to go on there. I would do the executive privilege thing just to bug him, even if I had nothing to hide. I just don't feel like letting you. You got 7,000 pages there, Lufus. Get into it, man. Leave me alone. And another thing about getting knocked around in Catholic school, I never minded it, man. I got punched in the nose by an algebra teacher. I got an ear that still rings, man. I just didn't care. Because I'll tell you one thing, every time they hit me, I had it coming. If you'd have had a class of 30 Patrick Carlins, man, you couldn't have taught nobody nothing.
Wait a minute. I love you. I've never been more impressed than knowing that your algebra teacher hit you in the nose. That's amazing. That's
well, let me tell you something. He punched me in the nose. I hadn't done a homework. I had not done a homework all year. It was for the first 30 days of school, and he says, "Do you know how many homeworks I've given out, Carl?" And I said, "No, I don't." And he says, "Well, I've given out 30. Do you know how many I've handed in?" I said, "No, I don't." He says, "None." He said, "What's your excuse?" And my book was laying right open on the desk, and I said, "I ain't got no book." And he just come down, he punched me, and it was like right next to my nose started bleeding.
We're out of time.
So I took my nose and I put it over the book and let the blood go on the book. I said, "I'll show him." He hits me 3 behind the head and he says, "Don't make a martyr out of yourself." So I go to the boys' room and I smoke a cigarette and I come back and everybody's cool. I knew I had it coming.
For you kids at home, write all that down. Thank you, Patrick Carlin. Thank you, Ryushin Marhai. Thank you, Sylvia Bullitt. Thanks to Sam Greenfield, Joe Raiola, Gus Mancini. Thank you all for pushing the right buttons. If you keep the dial tuned to Radio Woodstock, Ron Van Wormer will keep you company all afternoon with some great music and good vibes. Have a good week, everybody.